All right, guys, or my learners, you are welcome to the lesson for today. Sorry, there is something beyond my control around here. All right, so we would like to go through what we did yesterday as a form of revision to help you to write um, your assessment very well. Okay, so we're still going to continue with heat energy, and then we are going to look at how insulating materials are used for our everyday usage. And then, but you must remember that this still falls under what heat energy transfer. And then you remember our previous lessons, we spoke about what convection, convection, and radiation. And then you remember we said conduction was a heat transfer in which what heat is transferred between what objects when they are in contact. So, for example, if you have got a pot of water that is that is boiling, and then you have a spoon, a metallic spoon, and then you dip it inside, what will happen is that at the end of the day, the spoon is going to what also become hot because there is transfer of heat from the water and onto the spoon. Then we also spoke about what convection. Then we said convection is a form of heat transfer that occurs in liquids and then what gases. And then we said radiation is a kind of heat that occurs through a vacuum. All right. Okay, so what is an insulator? So an insulator is basically a material that is a poor conductor of heat. So any material that can what conduct electricity will then be what a conductor. But on the contrary, or in the other way, an insulator is a material that cannot conduct heat. So if it cannot conduct heat, it means basically it cannot also what conduct electricity. Okay. So we have got what energy transfer. So then under energy transfer, we are going to look at what heat losses. You know, there are some appliances that are not supposed to what lose heat too much. Why am I saying that they are not supposed to lose heat too much after they have what warmed up something? When they heat, when they lose the heat, it means you have to do what reuse your electricity so that to heat up. But in the other way around, as you use up the electricity more and more, then you are getting what a cost. So some appliances or some gadgets they will use are used to produce heat, but when they produce the heat, they are supposed to what insulate themselves so that the heat is what maintained for a long time. For example, if you talk of flask, you talk of what water bottles, you talk of what geyser, then you will see that we need to use those things so that if it is water that is containing heat should be maintained. If it is the geyser that is producing the water, warm water for people to bath, the water should what be in the geyser and still be warm after some time. So, for example, if you are in a household, then let's say you are about 20 or 10 or even 5. So it means if somebody should go and use the water, then the water should get cold up, and this one should also restart the machine again so that the water will be boiled again. So you see that at the end of the day, it's not economically viable. So what they do is that the gadgets will have to have some component of insulation, or should there should be a built-in insulated so that heat is kept. All right. Now, so when we are talking of heat losses, we're saying heat is the transfer of heat energy from an area where the temperature is high to an area where the temperature is low. So, for example, if you have a metal, okay, let me say you have got a spoon and then you are drinking tea. So sometimes where your spoon is will be warm. Then after some time, it will transfer to the end of the spoon. So you see that there is transfer of heat. So that part of the water in which the water is hard, is more, contains heat energy, because it got the heat energy from the source of heat that was used to boil the water. Then after some time, where you are holding, the temperature is low there, so it will move. The particles of the metal will absorb the heat, and then the electrons will then transfer, or the particles will then transfer the heat to the other portion. All right. Now, where there is heat losses, there are methods in which heat can be lost. So the same way we have got heat, various ways of heat transfer, they are also lost by the same method. So for example, heat can be lost by conduction, convection, and radiation. So from our bodies and objects, and then the objects, for example, electric gazers. All right. Now, what we need to do, look at, for example, um, it's winter now, so what do? We need to insulate our bodies. We wear clothing, and then blanket, so that we can be insulated. If you are insulated, what is going to happen is that then we will keep warm. So indirectly, we are preventing heat loss. So sometimes in summer, when we are hot, when the weather is hot, and then we're feeling a bit hot or warm, what do? We fan ourselves. So when we fan ourselves, then we are trying to blow the heat away from our system. The heat dissipates so that we feel a bit comfortable. Now, so here, our application of heat loss has to talk about electric geysers. So electric geysers have elements that heat water, and when the water is hot, the element switches off. So, for example, you can see that. Okay, I just want. I've seen charts here. All right. Okay. What are you saying? Okay, Wapule, I'm asking. Sorry, what are you saying? The test. Yes. The test, they said you are going to be there was supposed to be a test today. Yes. So they said you are going to write it at home. So that's what they told me. But let me just communicate to um, my host, and then hi, hi. Hello, sir. Hello. Oh, hello, Leonard. I've just been told that by the end of this lesson, there will be a link. There will be a link that will be given to you, and then you will write the test at home. I hope you heard that. So I repeat myself. You are asking, where is the test? So the test is today, but this is what is going to happen. After this lesson, the host will send a link, and then you will use that link to write the test. Uh, no, I don't think you will when you open the when they give you the link and you go through the link, then you will answer there. So you are not going to write through your hands. But I'm not sure whether you are going to be allowed with a textbook. I think the link, just wait when you go through the link. I think the link will give you all the instructions or details. But I'm not sure whether you will be able to use textbooks or not. I don't know whether it's an open book text. So open book text. So that one I cannot say much. So please uh, take it easy on me on whether you are going to use textbooks. All right, you are welcome. So we can continue. But listen, what we are doing now is part of the what the test. So you just need to uh, be attentive, and then you also revise on what we have done previously. And remember, the test is what 25 marks. So and then it's very easy. It's not that difficult. So don't stress yourself too much. Okay, so we can continue. Can I proceed? I'm sure you have addressed all your questions. Have I addressed all your questions? Okay, so let's continue. And thanks very much for your understanding. Okay, so as I was saying, we have got some appliances like an electric geyser that is having an element that heat the water. So when the geyser is heating the water, and when the water becomes hot, the element that was inside switches off automatically. So it's just like if you have an electric heater. If you have an electric heater, what is going to happen is that you put it in what? Uh, you plug it. Then when your water starts boiling, if your heater is then a geyser, then the heater is supposed to be what? Automatically switch off. So that is the operation or the technique that is used in what? The geyser. So the geyser heats what? Water. So when the water is heated up, the element that is used to heat the water switches off automatically. Now the geyser is supposed to what? Hold the water or contain the water or keep the water for other family members to bath. Okay. So now what happened? If the geyser is supposed to hold the water for some time, then we need to protect the geyser, design it in such a manner so that the heat is not lost. So to save energy, we want the water in the electric geyser to stay hot for as long as possible. We need to prevent the heat from being transferred. The part of the geyser that stores the water should be made of what? An insulating material wrapped in an insulating material that prevent what? Heat loss. Okay, so you heard that. So the geyser is supposed to be designed in such a way that after it heats the water, it keeps the water inside and still hot. All right. Okay, so let's continue. Now let's look at this conceptual development. They have learned that, or we have learned that heat is transferred, the transfer of heat from one object to another. Now, this type of heat transfer is what? Conduction. The transfer of heat is always from what object to what cooler object. Heat transfer will continue until both objects are what? The same at the same temperature. Okay, so take note. Heat can be lost from our bodies by conduction, convection, and radiation. We can use our bodies as an example. In winter, our bodies are hotter than air around us. This means that our bodies will radiate heat and lose heat energy to the air around us. We lose heat until our bodies are at the same temperature as the air. This situation is sometimes too cold for our bodies. Do you understand this? Now let me put it into perspective for you. It's winter now. our bodies are hot, the surroundings are cold. Now remember, we said heat is transferred from where the temperature is high or where the place is hot to where the place is less hot. Now within our bodies, we are too hot. Now the air surrounding us is what? Cold. So our bodies, the heat will then move away from us, will radiate or will come out and into the what? The surrounding air. Then that's when we will have what? Um I will feel cold. So to do that, we have to wear what? But we have to wear uh, some things like jersey, blanket, so that we can be what warm. We need to stop the heat from radiating out of our bodies to the surrounding air so that we can stay warm and not freeze in winter. To stop heat energy from radiating from our bodies, we wear thick clothing. The thick clothing acts as what insulator of heat. This stops heat from escaping or keeping us warm. Now, heat can be lost by conduction, convection, and radiation. So, for example, uh, electric geyser. So take note of this. The heat transferred, the three modes or methods of transferring heat is what? By conduction, by convection, and what? Radiation. All right. Now let's look at what is happening there. In an electric geyser, the element inside it becomes hot, similar to that of a stove. The heat from the element is transferred into the water by conduction, and convection then heats the water. I hope you can hear that. So here we have got what is two things at the same time. So in a geyser, we have got what? Convection and conduction. So conduction, this material that is heating up the water is in contact. The material that is supposed to heat the water is in contact with the what? Water. So let's say this metal. Then when the metal starts heating up, what is going to happen is that then the water will become hot by convection. And you know convection is the transfer of what? Heat from liquids and water. Okay. Now, when the water in the geyser becomes hot, the element switches off. To save energy, we want the water in the electric geyser to stay hot for as long as possible. Otherwise, we need to use more electricity to heat the water again. We need to prevent the heat from being transferred. All right. The part of the geyser that stores the water should be made of what? An insulating material or wrapped up in an insulating material to prevent the heat loss. Special geyser blankets can be used an insulating material. So besides the fact that we have geysers that what will heat up water for us to bath, we also have blankets. All right. Now let's talk of what? A cooler box. Now a cooler box is a box that will keep cool things cold. That will keep cold things cold. Then another object that we can also look is what? The flask. The flask is also an object that will keep hot food substances hot and cold things cold. Okay, and cold things cold. Now, so let's look at the cooler box here. So a flask is a container that is used to store what? Drinks. Flask can either be used to keep our hot drinks hot or a hot drinks hot on a cold day, or to keep our cold drinks cold on a hot day. A flask is made up of a what? A special insulated material. A flask is also made up of two cups where one cup sits inside another cup. So these ones, in terms of the flask, we see these cups that is being spoken about. And then there is a space between these two cups. And there is nothing in the space, not even air. It is a vacuum, meaning empty space. All right, I can see, is there a question? Let me quickly check. All right, somebody say, can you go back on the next slide? All right, just a minute. Okay, let me go back. Is this one? Are you talking about this one? Or I should go further? Are you talking about Mole? Is it this one or I should go back further? Okay, so one more. Okay, are you talking about this? All right, is this one? Okay, so I repeat, we have got, thank you very much for the question. We have got what three ways of, or three methods of what heat transfer. So one is conduction, convection, and radiation. We can basically say that conduction is the transfer of heat between what solids, or we can simply say is the transfer of heat when the objects are in contact. So we take note. Then convection, on the other hand, is the transfer of heat between liquids and what? Gases. And radiation simply is the transfer of heat through what? Through a vacuum. I hope you understand that. Did you get that? Molwe? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, if even if you have any other any other question besides this topic we are doing, you are welcome to ask. Since it's just like we are on a revision period or a revision week before we write exam. So besides heat transfer, you can also ask your questions. Then they shall be addressed just to assist you to write the test. Okay, so let's go back. All right. So as I was saying, we have got flasks or cooler boxes that are designed in such a way that they will keep hot things hot and cold things cold. But more importantly, when the weather is hot, then we need to do what? Drink or take precautionary measures to cool the temperature for us. Okay. So a flask is made up of what? Special insulating material. A flask is also made up of what? Two cups, where one cup sits inside another. There is a space between the two cups. There is nothing in this space, not even air. It is a vacuum, empty space. So a very useful application of insulating material is the cooler box and hot box. So the picture that we are looking at is what a cooler box. So cooler boxes basically are used to keep food cold. So we sometimes, what do we need? We need to put ice there. And because of the nature of the what ice, then it keeps the warmness away because the material that you are putting there will become what? Very, very cold or chilled. So if it is a hot day, and you buy some drinks and they are in your cooler box, you just need to add a bit of what cold, and then you are fine. All right. Now, so let's do these activities. They said, and then remember that in a vacuum there are no particles. So this means that hot or cold drink cannot transfer heat to the flux by conduction or convection. This vacuum is a form of what? Insulation. Okay, now, so this is an activity. So this is the geyser. We have the picture. It says, explain why it would be a good idea to wrap the geyser in what? In the insulating material. All right, so what you need to do, explain why it would be a good idea to wrap the geyser in an insulating material. So send in your answers, then we go on again. Send in your answers so that we just so that I will check for you to see whether you are getting them right. So let's go on. So we have the geyser here. Um, why do we put or wrap them in an insulating material? Yes, send in your answers. Waiting for your answers. And also questions as well. I'm waiting for your answers and your questions. All right, let's get moving. Okay. All right. So let me repeat for you, Molei. The question is, so we have this task. Well, let me just repeat the. First one says, remember that if there are no particles, then what is going to happen? The number of moles is going to be a problem. All right. So then you need to make sure that everything is intact, be it conduction, convection, or radiation. Now, the question or the activity that I'm simply saying, telling you to do is this. We have got a what? A geyser, as you can see in the picture. And then the question that comes as or that arose is that we are asked to explain why it would be a good idea to wrap the geyser in insulating material. So that's the question. All right, so let's see how popular, how, how can you, yeah, explain it in your own words, even though it's in your own words, explain it again. Yeah. It's glitching, eh? Maybe it's the network, I'm not sure. But is it better now, Mulei? Is it better? Okay, yeah, okay, thanks very much. I think maybe it could be the network. All right. So, learners, yes, explain. Yeah, you people are saying it's a good idea. Explain why you should use what? You should use what? The insulating material on a geyser. So you should explain to us how we will use it. So basically, that's what the question is talking about. yes, you agree that it's a good idea to put it in an insulator, but why are we putting it in an insulator, or why are we insulating it? Yes, you need to explain that. All right, let me quickly see. That is great. That is great. Yeah, that's correct. So that, yes, the water will keep warm for a long time, and the other house hold very good. Angelina, fantastic due to you are right to prevent heat loss. Yeah, that's great to prevent heat loss. Yeah. All right. So let's go to the next because the time is almost okay. So let's look at, so some of you were right. So these are just advantages. So let's look at advantages of wrapping an object with an insulator. The water is in direct contact. So this is just an explanation. So the water in the container, the water is in direct in contact with the container. This means that the hot water can into the water container by conduction. This means it will also lose heat. We should wrap the container in what insulating material to prevent what heat losses and keep the water hotter for long. This will save energy. All right, so some of you get that right. So here, the office of the what uh, so what I'm trying to say is that to keep the container insulated to prevent heat losses and keep the water hotter for a long time. This will save energy. So there are basically some offices in which they have also got what a heating system to keep the offices or houses okay hot when it's winter. But remember, the more you use heat, the more you are going to spend more for buying what uh, electricity to keep warm. All right, now let's look at this. So another application that we need to do is to uh, use water bottles. So now is winter, and I'm sure most of you have used water bottles before. So how do you think each object is designed to prevent heat loss? So the hot water bottle is designed such that it's made of what? An insulating material. The bottle can also be wrapped in the JC to reduce heat loss. So some people, they can have this hot water bottle and then they are wearing a JC and they will hide it under the JC, not even hide it, putting it there so that the heat that is originating from the hot water body will in turn warm up this person. Yeah. Then when we look at the flask, we have already checked that the flask is designed, the flask is made of what special insulated material that reduces heat. Okay, that reduces heat. All right. So the vacuum acts as an insulating material. This allows your coffee or tea to stay hot for long. Gloves. Gloves are also worn when our hands are cold, mostly during winter. Okay. Now, please just quickly answer question 1A for me. question 1A and B. All right. I'm waiting for your answers. I have another lesson, and then I'm getting a signal that we can continue. Learners, are you hearing me? Unfortunately, today we cannot do Kahoot. So try to do this and answer and ask any question regarding the test. You are asking me nice. The link is going to come from the host. So just feel free. Before the end of this lesson, you will get the link. Yes. All right. So now what happens is that I can hear. Let me explain this. Somebody is saying because our bodies can take the cold in winter, so that we have to put more clothes on our bodies to keep warm. This is what is happening. When it's winter, we feel cold. But what is actually happening is that, remember, heat is the transfer. The heat transfer is from a place where the temperature, where the heat is more, to a place where the heat is less. So, for example, if you look at our bodies, it's like in winter our bodies contain more heat than what our surroundings. So you will see that the heat from our bodies is comes out, or it radiates out and goes to where the heat is less. And at the end of the day, we feel what the cold. So as the heat from us goes out more, then we feel cold the more. So what you need to do is wear what warm clothes like blankets and uh, and jackets, so that we can keep warm. Yes. All right. Now B, quickly send me your answer for B before we move. And then you can also ask any question. You can also ask any question about the test. But remember, the link is going to come very good. I hope you have seen the link. Have you seen the link there? Yes. Yeah, that's correct, Junior. The link is. Have you seen the link? So you can copy the link, and that is where you are going to do the test. All right. So I wish you all the best. If you have any question, you can ask, and then you will answer at home. But I'm sure when you go through the link, the instructions regarding how to answer the questions will be there. So wish you all the best. Just select the questions according to your standard, and then if you some of you might even get total. All right. So good luck. Astronauts, yes. Astronauts must wear special spacesuit whenever they leave. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. Okay, that's very good answer. Okay. All right. Bye, guys, and then good luck in your what exam. And remember, the link was sent to you by the host. All right. The answer for question 1B. Okay, before I go on, the answer for question 1B. Okay, this is the answer for question 1B. It is very cold in space, so astronauts need special insulated suits so that they do not lose their body heat and freeze in space. So this answer, somebody sent, Wapile sent an answer which is very good. So 1B, this is what happened. So, and 1A, to prevent heat loss to the cooler surrounding air, clothing acts as what? Insulator. Insulators to prevent the materials to so that they can insulate their bodies from becoming free or frozen. All right. Now, if you want, you can A and B is also there. All right. Um, See you and good luck in your assessment or in your exam. Bye.